Welcome, everyone. Today, we are exploring a game-changing feature for data analysis and presentation, Claude's artifacts. We will learn how to move beyond simple text responses and use Claude to generate real-time, interactive charts, graphs, and UI components right alongside your conversation. Let's dive in and transform how you visualize data. Let's start by defining what artifacts actually are. If you've ever asked an AI to write code or generate a chart, you know the pain of losing that output as the conversation scrolls down. What is an artifact? It is a persistent, dedicated workspace that opens right next to your chat. The basics are simple. When Claude generates substantial content, like a React component or an SVG graph, it places it in this window. Why is this so powerful? Because it separates the conversation from the deliverable. You don't have to hunt for your chart, it stays pinned on the screen. How do you trigger it? You just ask Claude for a visualization, and the system automatically determines if it's substantial enough to warrant an artifact. In our deep dive, we see this shifts Claude from a simple chatbot into a collaborative workspace. You talk on the left, and you build on the right. Take a look at this flowchart. It illustrates the dual-channel architecture of Claude's interface. You submit your prompt, and Claude's processing engine evaluates it. Standard text responses flow left into the normal chat window. But when Claude generates substantial code or UI elements, it routes that data to the right, into the artifact workspace. Notice the feedback loop. You can provide iterative feedback in the chat window, which seamlessly updates the live rendering in the artifact window without losing your place. To truly master this, we need to understand the mechanics under the hood. What is happening when a chart appears? The artifact feature isn't just generating a static PNG image. The basics are that it is a live rendering engine capable of displaying HTML, React components, SVGs, and mermaid diagrams. Why does this matter? Because staring at raw CSV data is incredibly inefficient. Rendering it visually provides instant cognitive insights. How does Claude do this? When you ask for a chart, Claude writes the actual front-end code, often utilizing popular React libraries like Recharts for the data and Tailwind CSS for the styling. Our deep dive reveals that this code is then executed in a highly secure, sandboxed frame right in your browser. It is literally building a miniature, functional web application tailored specifically to your data on the fly. This architecture diagram breaks down the rendering pipeline. We feed raw data into the Claude LLM at the top. Claude acts as a front-end developer, writing React code and pushing it into the sandboxed iframe. Inside this secure environment, the code leverages powerful external libraries, specifically Tailwind CSS for beautiful styling and Recharts for the mathematical graphing. These combine to produce the final interactive chart rendered for you on the screen. It is seamless and instantaneous. Let's get practical and start generating charts and graphs. The what here is taking your raw numbers and turning them into visual stories. The basics require you to provide Claude with your data and explicitly name the chart type you want: a bar chart, line graph, or pie chart. Why use artifacts for this speed? You can identify market trends or financial outliers in seconds, completely bypassing heavy software like Excel or Tableau. How do you do it? Your prompt should be specific. Here is our Q1 sales data. Create a bar chart using Recharts to compare regional performance and use a corporate blue color scheme. In our deep dive, we understand that Claude is taking your unstructured conversational data and mapping it perfectly to the strict programmatic props required by the charting library. The cleaner your input data, the more flawless your generated chart will be. Follow the sequence diagram to see the transaction in real time. The user sends a prompt containing raw sales data and requests a line chart. Claude first works internally, parsing that messy conversational data into a clean, structured JSON format. It then wraps that JSON in a React Recharts component and emits it to the artifact window. The artifact window instantly compiles this and displays the dynamic line chart back to the user. Static charts are great, but interactive UI components are where artifacts truly shine. We're talking about creating dynamic dashboards with buttons, sliders, and filters. The basics involve asking Claude to wrap your data in an interactive layout. Why do this? Because static data only tells a single story. Interactivity lets you slice and dice the data to answer follow-up questions without writing dozens of new prompts. How do you achieve this? Ask Claude. Build an interactive React dashboard with a toggle button to switch between 2023 and 2024 revenue. Look at the code sample on the slide. Claude intelligently uses React's useState hook behind the scenes. Our deep dive reveals that Claude is actually implementing complete client-side state management. When you click a button in the artifact, it triggers a local function that recalculates and updates the graph instantly, exactly like a real web application. This state diagram demonstrates the interactive loop within an artifact. The dashboard loads and defaults to displaying 2023 data. But notice the interactive loop. The user clicks a toggle, which fires an event to update the React state. This state change forces a re-render, instantly transitioning the UI to display 2024 data. This entire interactive cycle happens entirely within your browser, isolated from the chat interface, providing a seamless analytical experience. No dashboard is perfect on the first try, which brings us to the iterative refinement process. What is this? It's the ability to systematically tweak and perfect your artifact through natural conversation. The basics are crucial. You never need to ask Claude to rewrite the whole application. You just ask for what you want changed. Why? Because as you analyze data, your requirements shift. You might realize a pie chart is too cluttered, or your boss asked you to add a new data column. How do you fix it? You just tell Claude in the chat, change this to a stacked bar chart and make the font larger. The deep dive here is fascinating. Artifacts have built-in version control. Every single time Claude modifies the code, it creates a new version layer. If an update breaks your beautiful layout, you simply use the version slider at the bottom of the artifact to instantly revert to the previous working state. Observe the version control flow in this diagram. We start with version 1, a basic line chart. Based on user feedback, Claude updates it to version 2, adding a trend line. More feedback transforms it into version 3, a final bar dashboard. But look at the dotted line at the bottom. If version 3 isn't what you wanted, the artifact interface provides a revert button, allowing you to instantly travel back in time to version 2 safely and easily. To take your skills to the enterprise level, we must discuss combining code execution with artifacts. The what here is utilizing Claude's secure Python environment to do heavy lifting before visualization. The basics: browsers cannot render millions of rows of data smoothly. Why do we need this? Because if you try to render a 50 megabyte CSV directly into a React artifact, your browser will crash. We solve this with a multi-step workflow. First, you upload your massive CSV. Second, you prompt Claude to use its Python tool to aggregate and clean the data, finding averages and sums. Third, you command Claude to take that tiny, aggregated summary and visualize it in a React artifact. In our deep dive, we see this mimics professional software architecture. Claude plays two roles: the back-end data scientist crunching the numbers with Python, and the front-end developer building the beautiful React dashboard to display them. This flowchart maps out our enterprise data pipeline. We start with a massive CSV upload. It flows into the red node, Claude's Python engine, which securely crunches the numbers to extract the insights. This produces a lightweight, small JSON payload. That payload is then handed off to the blue node, Claude's React engine, which safely renders the data into a highly performant artifact dashboard. Data processing and data visualization, perfectly segregated. Let's put this all together into a real-time, highly practical use case: the marketing analytics dashboard. Imagine your chief marketing officer runs into your office and needs an immediate breakdown of campaign ROI across 3 regions over the last year. The problem: you just have a messy spreadsheet and no time to configure a complex Tableau dashboard. Here is your execution plan. Step 1. Ingest. You upload the raw data and ask Claude to analyze the marketing spend versus ROI. Step 2. Generate. You prompt Claude to build an interactive React dashboard artifact containing a line chart for ROI and a pie chart for regional spend. Step 3. Refine. You realize you need more granularity, so you ask Claude to add a drop-down menu to filter by ad platform. The outcome: in less than 5 minutes, you have transitioned from raw, messy data to a fully functional, interactive application that you can present to your CMO immediately. This sequence diagram maps our crisis resolution workflow. The user uploads the marketing data to Claude, who confirms the analysis. The user then issues the command to build the ROI dashboard artifact, and Claude instantly renders it. Seeing the initial result, the user requests a platform filter dropdown. Claude immediately updates the UI with the interactive filters. The crisis is averted, and the dashboard is perfectly primed for your executive presentation. Let's wrap up with some essential best practices. First, data hygiene. Always ensure your data is relatively clean and anonymized before uploading. Artifacts are incredible, but garbage data will produce garbage visualizations. Second, be specific with your libraries. Don't just ask for a chart. Explicitly tell Claude, use recharts for the graph and Tailwind for the styling. This guarantees professional results. Third, manage your context limits. Huge dashboards consume a lot of tokens. If Claude starts behaving erratically, summarize your progress and start a fresh chat. Finally, remember that artifacts execute code directly in your browser, so practice basic security hygiene. To summarize, mastering artifacts shifts your workflow from simply chatting with an AI to operating a rapid prototyping and data visualization workstation. Thank you for attending this session. I invite learners to like, subscribe, and visit quicktechie.com for premium certification prep, including Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training, and interview guides. Our final diagram is a mind map summarizing your path to artifact mastery. Branching out from the center, we see our 4 pillars. Data prep, utilizing clean files and Python aggregation. Prompting, where we specify libraries and demand interactivity. Iteration, focusing on targeted tweaks and leveraging version control. And finally, safety, ensuring we manage our tokens efficiently and anonymize our data. Keep these pillars in mind, and your data visualizations will be spectacular.